All right, I'm back, and I'm back at 0, 0. Platforms up there. There's one step before we go up there and finish, start on that final step. There's one thing I need to do down here is set the world spawn. So here's 0, 0 right here. I already took down the pillar. You look and see which direction the platform's going. So the platform's going this direction. So I want to turn this way and either go over there or over here to set my world spawn. You don't want to do it directly under because the world spawn goes out about 5 blocks in each direction, and then it finds the highest point to spawn people in, which will be up there. So you need to go out at least 11 blocks because the platform's 12 blocks wide, so half of that would be 6, and then another 5 would be 11. So you want to go at least 11 blocks in one of the directions. This direction doesn't look like it's a very good spot to spawn in. Over there looks like a really good spot to spawn in. So I'm going to go right about in here. You don't want to go more than 96 blocks away from the platform to set your spawn, though, because it won't be in the spawn chunks. You want to keep that in the spawn chunks so it's always loaded during the game. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I like to go up 1 block, and then you just type in set world spawn, enter, and it sets the world spawn to right here. All right, I'm up here, and I don't know if you could tell from MC Edit. Things look a little different in MC Edit, but I have changed this around a little bit. I completely recorded this part of the tutorial once and realized that it was pretty confusing the way I had it set up. I've probably mentioned this before, this is my 16th UHC that I've used pretty much the same setup, and I've added on to it and took away things and did a lot of manipulating, troubleshooting, trying to get it to work right, and it was a little mixed up. Not bad. I pretty much keep things kind of organized, but just the sections were kind of confusing. So I redid it a little bit. I took out this little platform that was on the side and added it into the middle here, and got rid of some crap that I wasn't using anymore, and just lined it all up nice and pretty. And I changed around the variable names on a few things to make them a little easier to follow. So let's get started. All right, so first off, I want to show you a little bit about command blocks. First off, you're not going to be able to find a command block in this creative interface. It's nowhere in here unless they've changed it since the last time I looked. You have to spawn them in using this command at the bottom here. /give, then your username, Minecraft : command _ block, and then the amount that you want. If you're in creative, all you really need is 1, because if you have it in your hotbar, after you place it, it's still there. Whoop. Command blocks work with a redstone signal. I set this little thing up here, got a button here to actually send a redstone signal into here. I think it'll actually work if you put a command block down and just put a button. I guess yeah, you just put a button on it, and that'll set the command block off. And I did this before. You can put a repeater, then a command block, then another repeater, and then another command block, and set off the first one. Let's see. Say test 1. Say test 2. And say test 3. Whoop, 3. Okay, if I hit the first one, it should... Okay, let me put that on there first. Should do all 3 of them. Yeah, test 1, 2, 3. So that works. But on some servers, for some reason, it doesn't seem to work. I don't know why. It doesn't send a signal through to the next block. So what I end up doing is I'll do it this way. As you can see it all throughout this whole thing. I put a block down, put the repeaters into the block, and then put the command blocks on top of it. That way I'm sure it'll get a signal. For sure it will that way. Or you can do it this way. I do it this way when I'm doing something like this where I want them all to go off at the same time. I just put a redstone signal right down the middle and my repeaters off on to a block with a command block on top like that. Okay, let me get rid of this. All right. So the interface on the command block is just this one text line up here, and it shows your previous output down here. You can't do anything with that. That just shows, for troubleshooting wise, it'll show you exactly what happened the last time it was ran. You put any kind of regular console commands in here. Say is a console command that just repeats what it says. Test 5. It should be test 4, but what the hell? Now if I hit the button, if you look, oh yeah, if you look down at my chat, it just says command set. It's telling me that it set the command block to say test 5. Now I hit it and it's just going to say test 5. And it does that ampersand or at sign, I mean, before it every time too. I've noticed that. So you can pretty much do any kind of command in here. I'm not going to go over commands. I'll kind of go over the ones that I'm using here just to show you what they are. But there is a lot of different commands. You need to go on to Wiki and look at the commands. I'll leave a link in the description below, right to the page that has all the commands on it. But you can use a lot of different commands. The ones that I'm going to use here are mostly scoreboard commands, the spread player commands, and game setup commands. Scoreboard is a little bit tricky, but once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. All right, I'll be right back. All right, back. Yeah, this might look a little intimidating with all these command blocks here, but it's really pretty simple. I have this sectioned off into 3 sections. This middle section here is just to initialize everything and get everything set up before the game starts. This section on the right over here is to start the game. Once I hit this button here, it's going to run all these command blocks here and the game's going to start. Part on the left over here is just for team setup. Each color does exactly the same thing, so all you really need to do is know how to set up one of them, and you can set up all of them. Each one only has 4 blocks, so that's pretty simple. So let's get started on this middle section here. So first I have this middle one here. It consists of 3 different blocks, and I set this up right when I get on the server, the day of the UHC. So the first thing I do when I get on the server is I'll hit this button, which does this. It sets up the chat with game rule command block output true. So it sets up the chat history here, to show me anytime one of the command blocks is ran. So that'll make it so that anybody with op commands can see what's going on when command blocks are ran. Second is the scoreboard. I mentioned a minute ago scoreboards are a little bit tricky, but I only actually use two different things on the scoreboard, I think, and this is one of them. There's three different, scoreboard, you type /scoreboard and you can either use objectives, teams, or players. The teams and the players are stuff like setting up the teams over there. Objectives sets up different things in the displays. Like this is for a tab display. For UHC, you want to be able to see everybody's health, know how close they are to dying, and this will set it up so that it'll show it in the tab menu. Scoreboard objectives add health to health, or add health, which all it does is it adds a variable, the capital health. It adds this object, which is health, to that variable. It's kind of confusing because I named it the same thing, but I couldn't think of anything else to name it because it is health. So this actually sets up your display. Scoreboard, well, /scoreboard objectives set display list health. So this lists each player's health in the scoreboard, in the tab menu. All right, now this line here, pregame restrictions. I call it that mostly because it keeps people from damaging things before the game starts. We're playing in the place where we're spawning here. This is actually this is the UHC map, and people are going to be spawning right straight down there, and you don't want them to go around tearing up crap. It's happened in the past with our UHCs, so I set this stuff up. First of all, I set the daylight cycle to false, so it stays daytime before the game starts. Whoop. That way creepers don't spawn and start blowing crap up right away before the game even starts. Then I set the time to 6,000. That's directly overhead. That's noon. Also, people tend to hit each other a lot and do damage to each other, so you want to keep the natural regen to true. During UHC, it's going to be set to false. That's part of the game, losing your health and not being able to regen it. But before the game starts, you want to keep it at true, or else you're going to just be healing people constantly and not getting anything else done. And then finally, you set the difficulty to 0 if your server allows that. Our server our old server, we changed hosts, so maybe it will work on the new one. I don't know. I haven't tried. But yeah, our old server wouldn't let you get into peaceful mode unless the server was actually set to peaceful. And we didn't want to go through the hassle of setting it to peaceful and then having to reset it, because you have to go out to the console and then restart the console and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we didn't want to do that. With these two lines, I only have to hit them once when I first get on the server the day of UHC. But this one is a little different. This one I have to hit it every time someone logs onto the server. The day of the UHC, we close down Van Freedom about a half hour before UHC starts, and we bring up this map, and then about 15 minutes before it starts, we'll allow people to start getting on the server. So for that next 15 minutes, and usually a little longer because we never start exactly on time, people will be logging in and out of the server, and each time somebody actually logs onto the server for the first time, I have to hit this to put them into adventure mode. I want people to be in adventure mode so they don't go around tearing up the landscape because we are playing in this area. It's happened on a couple of the maps before I started doing this, and that's why I brought this, made this. So to start off, just /game mode 2 at A. 2 is adventure mode, and at A, as you can see underneath the text line here, at P targets all player, or the nearest player. At R targets random players, and at A targets all players. I'll be using at all players in quite a few of these, and random players in one of them. So that's good to know. You don't have to type, if you didn't do that, you would have to type in everybody's name in here, and that would really suck. Okay, and since I'm still going to be having to mess with these things during the pre-game and starting the game, I don't want to be in adventure mode myself, so the next block automatically sends me back to game mode 1, which is creative. You can put your own name there, or whoever is going to be hitting the buttons. And then finally, /give at all, at everybody, 364, which is steak. That's the item ID for steak. And I'll give each person 10 steaks. That's going to happen every time somebody logs onto the server, so some people are going to end up with a lot of steak before the beginning of the game. But that's all right, because I have a clear all over there somewhere, and it'll clear out everybody's inventory. And finally, in this middle section, I have this 20-minute clock. All it really is a daylight sensor, and when it gets morning, every morning during the game, I put this with, I don't know if you know this, but daylight sensors, depending on where the sun is, it will give you a longer redstone signal. When it's noon, as it is right now, it'll give you a 15 block signal. At the beginning of the day, well, at nighttime it'll give you 0, and at the beginning of the day it'll start off with 1 block, and then 4 blocks in, it's just barely really starting to turn light. Oh, excuse me. So I put it in 4 blocks in, and then it just does this. Say 20-minute mark, good morning. That lets everybody know it's morning time, which is kind of cheaty, but it helps out if you're recording, which I do. Lets you know that that's the end of one episode and the starting of the next episode. And if you are recording anyway, you are keeping track of the 20-minute mark, unless you're going for 30 minutes or 15 or something like that. But I watch a lot of Minecraft, and they always do 20 minutes, so I started doing it 20 minutes, and it just seemed easier. And since I'm going to know when it's 20 minutes and when it's going to be daylight, it's just fair that everybody knows. Now we come to the final part of the pregame setup, which is the team setup. You can do this manually if you want, but you're going to have to look up the commands on Wiki yourself. I'm not going to go over that. This way that I'm going to show you here, everyone needs to be on the server and ready to go. The game, with the game just, moments away, ready to go. Get everybody on the server, and you start hitting these buttons, and it picks the teams randomly. Teams of 2 the way I have it set up, but I'll show you how you can set it up for teams of 3 or 4 or 5 or however many you want. There's only 16 colors to work with in Minecraft, so I'm only using 8 right here, but you can use all 16 if you want. Each one of these is set up identically, just the color is different. That's the only difference in any of them, and that's in the command blocks herself. The colors that I got going here are just for looks, so I know which color is what. Okay, first off, you do this. Scoreboard. Teams add gold, or team gold. Scoreboard's the command. Teams is the object in the scoreboards that you're working with, and you're adding a gold team to teams. Excuse me. Second, scoreboard teams option gold or team gold, color gold. Now you're setting team gold to the color gold. And then this one is scoreboard teams join team gold at random. Teams equal, well, in brackets, team equals, comma, C equals 2. The only important part of this is that C equals 2. That's the number of random people that you're putting on team gold. You can change that to 3 or 4 or whatever. That's the number that you would change if you want to make your teams bigger or smaller. But everything else, just keep it just like this, except for the team name and the number of players on each team. So that's pretty basic. That's all there is to all of these. You're just adding a team to the scoreboard, picking a color for that team, and putting players on the team. If it messes up in any way, you get people that you don't want on a certain team. This is supposed to be random, but in certain cases, it's you don't want somebody on a team. Say you have 14 people playing, and 2 of them don't have Skype, and nobody wants to play with those 2 people that don't have Skype because they can't communicate with them. If one of those people get on your team, you can hit this button right here, and it'll reset the team so you can repick. And it's a good idea in that case to manually type those 2 people into the same team at the same time, and then they can be on a team together and worry about it if they don't have Skype or if they can't communicate with anybody. That's pretty much what we do. But this one is just basic. / scoreboard teams remove team gold. So that's pretty much it. There's a couple things that I want to point out in here. Most of these have just regular color names like blue. Like I said, you can look up the different colors. Purple is dark purple, and this one's weird. Pink is actually called light purple. So that's something that you might need to know. All right, now we get to the guts of the game here. This is actually in 3 sections. You can pretty much tell it's this section right here with these command blocks here. Then we have a clock timer here. And then finally we have this countdown part right here. This part actually sets up the game. That delays the start of the game for 30 seconds, and then there's a countdown timer. I'll show you this countdown timer first because it's just really simple. After the clock ticks down 30 seconds, then it just says say just like I showed you before, just puts get ready on the screen. Get ready. Then it's going down this line here. I put 3 repeaters on 4 ticks each for this. I figured this out, and this is just around 1 second between each set. So that gives it a second between, and it just counts down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then it says go. Fan freedom. Whoop, this should be 16. Oh, wait. There we go. Fan freedoms UHC 16 starts now. Yeah. So that's all that does. And I'm going to show you real quick. Let me put a button right here. This won't screw up anything, I don't think. Ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So that's right around 1 second each. All right. So After everything is set up, all the pre-stuff is set up, and everybody's ready to go, just ask one final time, is everybody frickin' ready? And then you hit this button right here. That, first of all, that's going to set off all these. The right side here is the game setup that actually gets the game started. This left side over here puts special effects on everybody, potion effects, so that people don't die instantly. Okay, so let's go down this line one by one. First of all, spread players. This is the meat of the starting of the game. It spreads everybody around the map. The numbers might be different in your case, but the starting of it's going to be the same. Slash spread players 0, 0. That spreading everybody from 0, 0. 275 is the number of blocks apart that you're going to have everybody. They can't be any closer than 275 blocks after the spread's done. And 590 is the limit from 0, 0. They can't go any farther than 590 blocks out. I did that because my wall's at 600. If your wall's bigger, you can make that bigger. You can make the spread part bigger, the 275. It's not going to work if the 275, if there's not enough room for the spread. So you got to watch that. And the true makes it so that the teams will stay together. Who's ever on the same team is going to be spread to the same area. And at all means everybody that's on the map. And that's pretty much it. That's the starting of the game. Everybody's ready to go. Then it's going to undo some of them commands that I put over there in the pregame. It's going to set the daylight cycle to true, so the sun's going to start moving. Game rule, do daylight cycle true. Then it's going to set the time to 0, so the sun's going to start coming up, so you know it's first thing in the morning. Game rule, natural regen to false. From that point on, anybody that starts taking damage, well, actually after the potion effects is over, anybody that starts taking damage, only way they can get any health again is from golden apples or health potions. Then it's going to set the game mode to 0, which is survival at all. And the difficulty level to 3, which is hard, the hard part of hardcore. And finally, it's going to clear the weather for 1200 seconds, which is exactly one Minecraft day. So the first day out, it's not going to start storming and people aren't going to get chased by zombos everywhere. Give them a chance to go break some wood and shit like that, you know? Okay, so that's the game setup, and then finally the effects. Actually, first, this is not really an effect. This clears everybody's inventory. If anybody found anything, if they're in adventure mode, they're not going to be able to break a whole lot down there, but they might find something they can freaking have in their inventory. You never know. Especially if they're like now here, everybody's going to see that village anyway when they spawn in. If there was a blacksmith over there, they might run over there real quick and try to get some diamonds or gold or something out of the blacksmith shop. You never know. So that'll clear everybody's inventory. / clear at all. And now the special effects, potion effects. These are pretty basic. A basic command is / effect at all 6. 6 is instant health. And if you see down at the bottom line down here, previous output, instant health to Pale Rider for 30 seconds. That's only because I'm the only one on here. But it'll do that for everybody. It's going to give them instant health for 30 seconds. Then effect number 10 is regen. It's going to give everybody regen for 30 seconds. Effect 11 is I guess just regular resistance. So yeah, I guess that's just regular resistance. This next one should be fire, right? Yeah. Okay. So 12 is fire. Yeah, got lost there for a second. 13 is water breathing, just in case they shouldn't really spawn in an ocean, but it happens. If they spawn in an ocean, they're if they start sinking, they're not going to freaking take damage right away. They got 30 seconds to get to shore. And health boost for 30 seconds. That actually gives them, I think, 4 absorption hearts at first, something like that. So these effects will go on for 30 seconds. That gives everybody enough time to get out of lava, get out of the water, get out of trees, get out of whatever before the game actually starts. Then it goes to this countdown time, or this counter or clock. It's a 4 hopper clock. If anybody has messed with redstone a lot, they've probably seen these already. What this does is, okay, right now, if you don't know, if there's a redstone torch underneath a hopper, it keeps items that are in that hopper there. When the redstone torch goes out, the hopper starts spitting those out to the next spot, which is this one. I got this set up so that right now this torch is on and I have 70 stone in here. You can put any kind of block, it doesn't matter. Just 70 items in here. And that'll be exactly 30 seconds. And I'll show you that in a second. So right now with this redstone block here, it's turning on, or it's turning on this line, which actually turns off this torch under here for this hopper. Okay. When you press the button and everything else goes off, this piston will push that over to there, which will turn this line on and this line off. When this line turns on, it's going to turn that off. When this line gets turned off, it's going to turn that one on. So everything from this hopper is going to move over into that hopper. Okay. It moves at a certain rate, and it's going to start, as it starts moving these stones over into this hopper, it's going to start turning on, because of this comparator here, it's going to start turning on these redstone, this redstone line. It'll go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 in 30 seconds. When it hits 30 seconds, it's going to go through this repeater and go that way and that way. This way, it's just going to do the get ready, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And this way, it's going to just reset the timer just in case you need to redo something. You don't have to reset it yourself. So what it'll do is it'll send the redstone signal back here, which will push this piston to push, or get this piston to push that redstone block back over, which will set it up like this again. So it'll turn off that torch, which will send all the items that these blocks that were in there, it'll send them back to here. And because this torch is on, they'll stay there. All right, that looks like that's about it. I know it seems a little confusing. I probably might have confused you even more. I'm going to try to put as much information in the description below as I can. I'm going to either type out each one of these commands in, that are in each command block, and put them in sections so you know which lines to put them in, or I'll put them in a text file and put them in a Dropbox somewhere so that you can download it. If you still have problems figuring it out, leave a comment and I will do my best to answer it as fast as I can. And there goes a Harley going by. I hope it's not, you can't hear that too loud. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it, and leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment, and we'll see you on the next one. Adios.